if Sammy Woodhouse would like to come forward. Again, she's a survivor from the Rotherham. She's a whistleblower, and I'd like her to say a few words, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course. How long have I got? I can talk a lot about this issue, so if I'm talking too much, please stop me. So, hello everyone, my name is Sammy Woodhouse. Can everybody at the back hear me? Fantastic. So, I come from Rotherham, and I met Arshad Hussain just after my 14th birthday. I was just on a local shop with one of my best friends. She knew him, she knew his family. So when he asked us to go for a spin in the car, we said, yeah, you know, we thought it could be a bit of fun. We didn't realise just how much danger we was going to be in. And when I got into that car, I had no idea, but that was going to be the moment that my life would change forever. And I would go on to be abused mentally, physically, and sexually for several years. And I would also be groomed to commit crime, but I would also go on to have a child from my exploitation as well. So I started going missing for days, weeks, and months at a time. And I was absolutely everywhere, hotels, B&Bs, and I was also living with his family in their own properties. Now, of course, my parents weren't happy about this, and I was fortunate to have a family that was fighting for me. And they reported this to the police because, you know, this man was 10 years older than me, he was 24, but he was also known to services for being involved in all types of crime, so not just exploitation. But the police said that I was making a lifestyle choice, so they left my family to deal with it on their own. Now, my dad started collecting as much evidence as he could, and he took that to the police, and even with my diary, you know, of course, lots of little girls write diaries. The police threatened my dad and said if he continued, you know, to try and fight this, they would arrest him. Well, my dad didn't care if he was going to be arrested because, you know, he's my dad and it was his job to protect me. But I was placed into care on a Section 20, which meant that even though I was in care, my family would have parental responsibility. And that was done because they thought they would, you know, be keeping me safer. Unfortunately, that backfired, and the authorities said as long as I was back for 10 o'clock, I met him at the top of the street, he could have full access to me. He was even invited to all my appointments and was allowed to come on holiday with us, with the foster carer. Now, I became pregnant at 14 and again at 15. And at 15, I was allowed to keep my child because the authorities said that they wasn't going to prosecute him. My son is now 23 years old. But I tried on many occasions to try and get out. But I didn't recognise what was happening to me as exploitation. I just thought, you know, this man is my boyfriend and he's treating me really badly and I want to try and get away from that. And he tried many occasions to kill me if I tried to get out. But he got sent to prison when he was 16. He kidnapped somebody and stabbed him, I think it was 12 times, with a screwdriver. So that gave me the opportunity to go back home, start and build relationships with my family, because what happened was not only destroying me, but it ripped my family apart. And he came out of prison when my son was just a couple of months old, and he attacked me and my son. He set my property on fire, so I had to go into hiding. And unfortunately, the police, you know, they just weren't helpful. And I saw police do a lot of bad things. They was buying drugs off him. They was giving him information. I've also gone on to, you know, name Labour politicians such as Jahangir Akhtar, who went on to be the deputy leader of Rotherham Council. Him and PC Hassan Ali was directly involved in a no prosecution deal in regards to myself. So what that means was, on one occasion when I was abducted, they said if he handed me over at a petrol station, then he wouldn't be prosecuted. So he fetched me back and they allowed him to roam free. And he was allowed to abuse a lot more children, unfortunately. But I went through life really, really struggling. And I tried on many occasions to try to kill myself. I drank bleach, slit my wrist, tried hanging myself. Fortunately, that didn't work. but I contacted a journalist called Andrew Norfolk at the Times newspaper, and this was, I think, about late 2012. Now, I wasn't the first person in Rotherham to contact Andrew. There was a couple of other people before me. So when I did my story with him, I was honestly expecting to be ignored because the others were. And they weren't just ignored, they was actually investigated as well. Unfortunately, authorities didn't want to know about what had happened to thousands of children like myself. But my story was published by Andrew in the Times, August 2013. I wasn't called Sammy in that article, I was called Jessica. And we named not only my rapist, but we named Jahangir Akhtar and the police officer as well. And I had no idea that this was going to happen, but something I'm very proud of. And it commissioned the J report, which I'm sure you've all heard of, which showed that there was 1,400 children, just like myself, that had been groomed, abused, raped, tortured, trafficked, criminalised, impregnated, and some even murdered. And it also opened the criminal investigation, which is now known as the biggest criminal investigation in British history in regards to child rape. It's called Operation Stovewood. It's still ongoing. But it took me 3 years to get Arshad Hussain and the rest, or some of his gang anyway, into the courtroom. And he was found guilty and sentenced to 35 years, which, what was said earlier, was the highest sentence for child rape in our country. Now, when you look at this case, you know, we saw it as a real success. You know, we had these, you know, high sentences, and we thought that was going to be enrolled throughout the country. And as I'm sure you've seen some of the sentences now, it's absolutely shocking. But I continue to speak out because what I learned is that as a survivor, I was actually now very powerful, and I had a platform, and I thought it was so important to use that platform to try and help other people. So that's what I've continued to do. And I've done that in many different areas, whether it be, you know, raising awareness, speaking at events, working with, you know, police, politicians, schools, changing policy and law. Because what happened to me in Rotherham, what I learned through my activism, is actually happening to all communities across the country. And I think it's safe to say our country is an absolute mess still in tackling this issue. And as you're probably aware, we are trying to get inquiries into all councils and police forces to show, you know, what has happened in Rotherham is actually happening all over, so we can actually get to the truth of what's actually happened, and also help, you know, children and families. Now, one thing I'm working on at the moment is the rape gang inquiry. Has anybody heard of this? Okay, so it's actually something quite new. It was set up by MP Rupert Lowe, and he set up a fundraiser, which I don't know the exact amount it's on at the moment, but it's well over, I think, 600,000. And that's, that money's been donated from the public to try and get an inquiry into what's happening. So I think it's safe to say that, you know, people around the UK definitely want to try and fight for us and to bring this to the forefront. Now, one of the reasons why I'm here today is because I know that things have been happening in your community as well. And as someone that's now working on the rape gang inquiry, I would like to, you know, offer you the opportunity to try and engage into that inquiry. Now, anyone can engage, whether you are a survivor, a family member, you know, professional, anyone. If you have any information, any evidence, you can submit that anonymously, or you can work, you know, openly. It's entirely your choice. So I just wanted to give you that opportunity. Now, I'm going to be here all day, so if anybody wants to come and see me afterwards, I know sometimes people don't like to ask me questions in front of everyone. That's absolutely fine. You can come and speak to me afterwards, or I can give you my details, and we can chat afterwards. So thank you, everybody, for listening, and Is that all right? Do you want me to keep going? I'm just mindful because I talk a lot. Is that all right?
Thank you, Sammy. A round of applause, well deserved.